Our next opportunity is for you to ask us questions. So we have a panel discussion. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there. So to do that, we're going to have a panel. And that we have our moderator for the panel. I'd like to introduce right now. It's Jeff Pulver. Jeff, when you mind coming up here. Jeff is the Director of Research and Innovation for the Maine Department of Transportation. He's been with the MaineDOT since 2018, working as an assistant engineer and a civil transportation engineer in the Office of Safety and Mobility before moving on to his current position. Prior to his work at MaineDOT, he was a design engineer at Gore Palmer. He has a BS in civil engineering from the University of Maine, so he's a black bear, and he's well back home. So please help me welcome Jeff here, and he's going to moderate the panel.
Thank you, Habib. I'm really looking forward to this panel discussion and hearing what kind of questions we get from the audience. The first panel discussion during the 2025 Transportation Infrastructure Durability Conference is on the future of composites in infrastructure. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our panelists. We just heard from two of them. We have Vincent Tang, Deputy Director of ARPA-I, and Kelley Severns, the Program Manager of XBridge at ARPA-I. And also welcome up to join them will be Joyce Taylor, Chief Engineer at MaineDOT, and Habib Dagher, who you just heard from as well, the Director of the Advanced Structures and Composites Center. So come on up, everybody. To ask a question, please stand behind one of the two microphones placed at the front of the room, and we're going to alternate between questions between the two microphones. Yeah, if you have a question, come on up to the microphone. Thanks.
Oops. I think my voice is loud enough. Maybe I should talk without.
Sure, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much. Ramesh Malla from the University of Connecticut. I'm also the lead PI from UConn for TIDC program here. My question is Dr. Tang. The ARPA is very good program. It's a very exciting program, but being faculty, we are all looking for funding. So could you elaborate more about how faculty go after this funding from your program? That's the main question I have here.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that question. So, as I've been on the job about 7.5 months, starting December 1st, but we are trying to ramp up as quickly as we can. And to be very clear, we're still quite a nascent agency compared to, DARPA itself, which is, I think, over $4 billion a year, and ARPA-I, which is about 460 or so, right? So there's a lot of work to ramp up, but there will be multiple opportunities to engage. So traditionally, the DARPAs and ARPAs have kind of two different ways to engage with the community and programs and funding. There are dedicated programs, right, that puts out solicitations and the traditional proposal process. And then there's also normally an open BAA process, right? And essentially a continuous solicitation where anybody can put in a proposal at any time to get reviewed and potentially receive funding for that proposal. So we're looking to set up that mechanism because I think every DARPA and ARPA needs an open BAA in order to be able to continuously engage with community. But that's going to come, it's going to take a little bit to set that up. In the meantime, there will be an opportunity coming up really soon to submit your best ideas and to figure out how we can collectively build a portfolio of breakthrough ideas and concepts that could transform the transportation ecosystem. And I think that's really important for a couple of reasons. So as we're building up the nascent agency, right, we want to be able to tell our stakeholders, look, the community is engaged, they're very excited, and we have a portfolio of ideas ready to go if you continue to ramp the agency up. At the same time, if we can build this portfolio, this will also allow the wider DOT and the research agencies within it to leverage that portfolio and to fund those projects as well. So that opportunity will be coming up really soon, and we'll make sure everybody hears about it.
Great, thanks. We have another question up here from John.
Sure, John Bussell, ACMA. So as you were doing the wonderful presentation, and there's a couple of things I'm gonna call on you during mine, but what is gonna be the secret sauce that helps DOTs learn from other DOTs so that we don't create, it's gotta be done in my state in order for it to be accepted?
I want to address that
Yeah,
too.
right. You go ahead. You could go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that's the $1 million question, right? Like, how can we get states to try new things? I mean, I think we're up through the funding, right? You know, oh, that's an interesting concept for sure.
Otherwise, you're out.
So I think that's the question every time we try something new, right? I think having that question of what are the other states doing, right? That's, I was asked that a million times, like, we don't want to be the first, or we don't want to be, but I think a lot of what we're talking about today, we've got a lot of great technologies available right now, and we have had a lot of those great technologies available for decades even. And so when you look at history of implementation, often it takes 20 years, right, to get something. It doesn't have to, but it does. And, one of the things that happens to speed that up is either we have some kind of a disaster, right, and then we have to do something, or, something gets mandated. And so I think we want to move past that. We want to open up people's minds. Now, how do we get states to try new things without other states having done it, or already having the material specifications in place, or I think it's just education, right? And we can't let that part of X-Bridge or any project fall by the wayside. We can't do this project, tell everybody about it, and then stop, right? We've got to keep on and keep talking about it, develop the training, and help the other states work together. So, whether that's workshops, whether that's listening sessions, whether that's just getting everybody together for an industry day, I mean, we have to keep doing that. And I think that's part of what the X-Bridge program will be doing too.
Okay, I have 3 points. One, multi-state contracting is very tough. We have a tri-state effort with Vermont and New Hampshire, and trying to get your financial people to understand how to do that is like an act of God. So it's not that easy. You need to take advantage of the ASHTO structure. And, I think I have been in meetings where Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine teamed up, 3 teeny little states, and we changed the course of a nation policy. I think you have to figure out who are your materials people on that committee, and they have to be advocates for this industry. And things come up through the committees. It's not just the bridge committee, the materials committee has to understand it. The bridge committee is a tough committee because I've tried to change some things with LRFD, and I am not happy with some things right now. Anyone who knows me knows not to ask me about it, because it's, when you get rid of being able to use engineering judgment and load ratings, I am beside myself about that one. But I think you have to embrace the ASHTO committees, and they can make you live or die by them, right? We all know that. They're conservative, but as states, right, represented by TIDC, we should all be talking to those people who are sitting in those seats. And, I'm the vice chair of the Committee on Highways and Streets. It's every chief engineer in the country sits around there. And I was saying, I have it for another 1.5 years. Give me something to present to these people. And, I think that the third point I would make is for Maine, we're really in a tough position. We're one of the only states who have a decreasing rate of poor bridges right now. I have spent since February with an internal team in the weeds, looking at our bridge program, looking at what we have to do. I'm not convinced we're going to be able to change that trend anytime soon. But when Kelley presents something about 50% less time, I'm like, I'm in. And we've been benchmarking other states. Snippy's coming. Everyone's scared to death of what your percentage poor bridges is gonna look like. We've been using it for 2 or 3 years. That's why I think we're seeing the poor bridges. Everybody's in a place where we're all talking as state chief engineers. We have to go faster. We have to get more life out of our bridges. I really think the time is ripe for this conversation, but you have to tailor it in a way that fits their needs.
That's great. I'll ask a quick question. It's not just the money that's a hurdle to replacing bridges, but there's also, there's staff time for designers and contractors. There's the time it takes for, permitting, design, traffic management, taming, all of that stuff. Is there anything that Exbridge sees, throughout the life of this program that can be done, or things that can be explored to cut down the time from the idea of we want to replace this bridge to the bridge being complete that might not happen during the construction process?
I don't know that that's been considered as part of the program at this point, but it's definitely acknowledged to be a problem across the industry. How can we, we know there's a problem. We know the bridge is deteriorating. How can we get out there to fix it quicker? How can we replace it quicker? So I think that's definitely something we can add to the program to think about, and how we can work with, MaineDOT through the Exbridge program to discuss, solutions to that and how we can work with that. It's important to remember it's not always just the technology or the material, right? And often that's not what keeps us from building quickly. It's getting to the construction phase, right?
Design is the least of the issue, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we've got another question up here.
Yeah,
And I
thanks,
think
guys.
this will be the
Scott
last
Lewitt,
question.
Scott Lewitt, Structural Composites. Before I get into my question, just to reinforce what John was saying, everybody is following the money. If there's one universal thing in the world, the DOTs are fighting for the money. Everybody's fighting for the money. And if we're at the federal level, plugging in how the money is going to get played, those are going to become the metrics that the DOTs are going to use. So that's where we got to bring the idea of multi-DOT. Okay, but my question, a couple of small business. All right, so I want to make sure, and I'd love to hear from you. Small business engagement is so important in this, and working with the ACME, we put a small bridge in, went through the whole AASHTO testing and everything else, and we developed a system that includes the institute, university, small business, large scale up, because the small business can't make it affordable.
Right.
You see what I mean? You gotta scale it up to larger scale manufacturers. So I want you guys to, is that in the ecosystem? One question. The second one, I noticed you're sticking with a concrete material. And are you going to consider a composite deck, which takes out the whole 27-day cure time? That could be made a year ahead of time. Deck modules are 80-95% reduced weight over concrete. Within the deck's scope, or is that still a lot?
I'll talk a little bit about your first question, and then maybe I'll let Habib talk about the second question. So the first question, yes, definitely. We want to work with small business. That's always, important. But, I think we're already working with some small businesses. There's definitely opportunity for industry to be involved in Exbridge, whether they're big or small. I think especially within an innovative area, often it'll be a small business that's willing to jump in there and take that risk. So yes, we are looking for opportunities to work with DOTs and industry leaders, big and small. So there's definitely opportunity. Talk to us more, Vincent and I, more about that for sure. And then, yes, we're aware, obviously, of FRP deck panels and their use in some other prototype bridges across the country. I don't know exactly what the plan is for that, for investigation, so I'll let you talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. Certainly, using FRP composite deck systems, as you said, can reduce the weight of the superstructure, can make it faster to build and so on and so forth. At this stage of the game, we haven't finalized what we call the different systems we're going to be using. We're still looking at over the next few months at the different structural systems that we're going to be evaluating. Right now, the ones we're looking at include precast concrete deck systems. But we haven't ruled out the potential of composite decks as well. So
The idea on that might be very interesting. You've driven down the highway and all of a sudden you'll see thump, 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 test strips. All right. Put different materials out in the real world. And so you got a 75-foot bridge. Think about using that to test out 3 or 4 deck technologies, all with fiber optic sensing, and the valuable data would connect. Because then you'd be showing versatility on top. Our system works with this deck, this deck, this deck, this deck. Now you got it.
thank you. Let's continue this conversation after this. Yeah, happy to collaborate with you. So.
Great, and I think at this point we have to go to a break. We've got another session starting soon. So thanks for the great panel discussion, the questions from the audience and from the answers from the panelists. We're going to take a short break. We'll return for a session on composite advances and future direction, the industry perspectives at 11 o'clock. Thank you.